Why, hello everybody, it's Robbie, and it's such a pretty morning that I decided to just take a walk and kind of recap what's been going on this week. Look, I got flowers everywhere now. Flowers and flowers from that time I bought them at Lowe's. They're growing beautiful. Let's see, what did we do this week? Oh, there's my mail. Oh, you know, a mailman came once and asked me, why do you have to put such a heavy grid on top of the container that we have to come pick up your mail in? And I said to him, we have squirrels, and the squirrels take my mail away. And he was going, no, yeah, sure. You know what? While we were standing and talking, a squirrel ran out of the bushes and across on his foot. He couldn't stop laughing. He thought it was the funniest thing because here he asked and a squirrel ran across his foot. So now he believes me. Let's see, let's go into the garden and I'll just talk. So I'm trying to get my garden going. And this is not a garden tour. This is just a recap. And things are going really good. You know, I was watching Nick Federoff's show this morning. He has a show on PBS on gardening. And he said something that I have noticed. He was planting in a raised bed. And he said he had to clean out or move away. No, he didn't clean it out. He actually moved a little bit over his garden mold. He said once the sun comes out, oh, look, the sun is coming out as I'm walking and talking. He said that will go away. And that is something I've pointed out to Gary. In all the years living here, I haven't seen, isn't that beautiful, the butterflies flying around? I haven't seen that for a long time. Even my paper cups that I'm starting my seeds in, they tend to get the black mold right away. I'm not afraid of black mold. I mean, wash it off, that's all. I mean, if it gets on my hands, I'll wash it off. But our weather has drastically changed this year. I just hope it's not permanent, that's all. Because we went to the school, which was interesting, my granddaughter's school, and they did a farm tour. I might sit down for a minute and just enjoy the garden while I talk. And I said to Gary, it's not the same. Let me move a chair. Hummingbirds are coming in. The other birds are coming in. I said, it's not the same. When we went, they had a beautiful garden last time. Now, granted, that was in 2012, but the same day, the same very day, we went May 10th, and it was in 2012, and we went May 10th, 2019. They had strawberries growing. The kids got to pick strawberries. They had a beautiful garden going, and this year, no garden. Completely dirt. Kind of like my neighbor's still looks, just dirt. Literally, dirt, nothing. So I pointed that out to Gary. This is different. No, he said we went another time. No, we didn't because school's out next month. And when I looked up the pictures of both of my grandkids on the same tractor, which was so cute, it was the exact same date. Could not believe it. So see, there's been a change this year. This year we have a change. Now, hopefully this is just a unique change, but I don't know because I can remember back in the 80s, I used to wear thermal underwear all winter. And then as it went into the 90s, it started to get warmer and warmer. And then I noticed we were no longer using our heater. So we'd have cold days and then sunny days. We've had a lot of overcast, wet days. So this has made it different this year gardening because looking back, I had already zucchini. Now I'm going to take a walk. I already had zucchini going and a lot of different things where I'm planting the zucchini and it's growing. But you know what's growing more flowers? Oh, I can show you over here. We can walk over here. The hybrids, the ones that actually came up in my garden, those are actually the ones that are growing flowers already. These true zucchini are not. See, that's true zucchini. Only leaves right now. This is all zucchini. And though it's growing, no flowers. Now this one, look at this. I'm going to uncover it. Look at all the flowers. That is a volunteer plant. That came up in my compost bin. And that came up from a hybrid that grew here. This is why sometimes hybrids are the best. Because this is used to our weather and the hybrids are throwing flowers already. So to them, it's no big deal that it's been cooler and damper and wetter. The doves. It's no big deal to them. They're kind of used to our weather. They're used to the ground. They're used to everything. And they're throwing flowers where the zucchini I'm planting Straight, regular zucchini are not yet. They're growing slower. So anyways, getting back to Nick Fedoroff, I thought that was interesting. So he has noticed a mold that's been growing that we don't generally see this time of the year. We may see it maybe in January, because January normally in Southern California is the coldest. Well, it'll be cold and wet, and then it starts to dry out, and by May, we would have it beautiful and planting, and you go to the stores, and even the nurseries aren't pushing that many, vegetables yet. And a lot of people I don't think are planting yet. So, I mean, I'm happy with my garden, but remember, my garden's established, and I don't pull anything out. So since I don't pull out what's still alive, like the sorrel's 3-4 years old, and the colored back there is also 3-4 years old, and this is, I think, 2, I can't remember exactly. The geranium was a piece. I didn't even want the geranium. And look how big that is, but that you can't eat that. Everything in my garden, everything that you can see is edible except for the geranium. You can eat everything and anything in here. Mine's established. So most of this stuff, of course, made it through the winter, and now the mint is coming in. That's really different. It's been a real different time. So anyways, we went to the farm, and that was fun because, like I said, we went to the farm back in 2012. And what the farm is high schools, a lot of different high schools have different specialties that they do. You know, some high schools, I don't know, could have a specialty in math, and some will have farming, and some will have photography and different things. Well, the schools, some of them here in Southern California, do farming. And when they do farming, the kids actually get to go in there and learn about where your food comes from. And learn about planting, learn about raising pigs, learn about raising steer and sheep and goats for milk and cheese. So they get to learn about all this and how to take care of animals. And the schools, which is really nice, give the kids from the grammar schools field trips. So they go in there and they get to see what's going on, and they learn as well, and the kids get to touch the animals and play with the animals, and they get to see chickens and they get to see eggs. But they didn't get to see vegetables this time. The only plants they got to see was their beautiful greenhouse. That's all they got to see. Now, the greenhouse was beautiful, full of a lot of different plants. I was surprised they were growing elephant food in there as a succulent, and no one knew that that was actually edible in case of an emergency. I mean, I told them the truth. I don't care for the taste of it. It's kind of citrusy and tangy, but it's edible no matter what. If something happened, you didn't have enough food. It's got fabulous vitamins and stuff in it. So they didn't know. The kids didn't know. But, that's a fun trip. And I think that's great when you go to high school that has a specialty program, which theirs is ag. And the kids get to go there, look around at different grammar schools, the young kids, and get to see. And we do field trips with the school. Gary and I volunteer, and we help with the school when they need it. And we really enjoy that. So it was a really, really fun time. Let's see, what else went on this week? Nothing. I started working on the deck, and I definitely have to get those videos together. Gary's got so many videos he's working on, but he's just got other things to do. We still work. So he said he's getting them together. He's got his bee video. We're going to walk by his bees. And let's walk down the hill. And what else? And then I've got a rabbit video I definitely have to get up. Baby rabbits. And I think the main thing is I need to get the deck one up. That's important because the deck, my container gardening is doing great. And even though I just started it, I can see how many things are doing really good in there. I'm already stepping out and grabbing things to get greens. Maybe late at night we decide to eat something or put a salad together. So that's been really, really great. We're going to walk by his bees. He wants a bee suit now, he told me. I'm not sure what that's all about, but I'm guessing he wants to start setting up bees soon. And we'll see how the weather goes and what he decides to do. And he's just telling me he's thinking about getting a bee suit. There's his bees. I don't see much movement. Let's see if there's anything in there. Why, that mound is getting bigger and bigger, isn't it? I think a week ago I did a close-up. And there seems to be more, unless they're hiding in there because it's still kind of cool in the morning. I don't know, but I think it's getting bigger. They're probably, of course, building their colony. So let's keep going. So now he wants to do bees. I know he's got a lot of work he's doing in his garden. And I want to get my garden together once and for all. Let's see, about a week ago or so, we went to CPG, and we only bought what we needed, which was really good. We didn't try to buy trays and trays. Like if you buy a tray, you get a good price. Well, the price isn't as good as it used to be, so we bought what we needed, and that's really good. And I'm still planting, so buy what you need, and that's the best thing. When you buy too much, or I buy too much, it kind of overwhelms you, and then you feel kind of obligated, like, oh my gosh, I have to drop everything and get it planted, and you may not plant it the way you want to plant it. So that's why the best thing to do is buy, oh look, a baby bunny. That's a baby bunny. And into the bushes it goes. Oh my goodness. I've been looking for the babies. I knew the babies were down here. And they grow so fast. Oh my gosh, it's like overnight. So you don't want to overwhelm yourself. And that's the thing, is I'm trying not to overwhelm myself. So if there's something I think about what I want, like I wanted to grow basil, not from seed. I might grow some from seed. I actually bought a tray with 3 basils in it. The other 3 were empty. That was at CPG. So the guy told me just stick 3 other things in there. So I found the other ones that were missing. And I think I got some sort of cucumbers. I don't even know what they were. It didn't have a label. So we'll see. I'll put that in. Let's spin around here. Gary's going to get that all strung up. And he wants to do a video on that. That's a wild, I should say, volunteer tomato plant that grew in the wood chips. And look how big it is. And look at all the flowers on it. So that's going to be amazing. So let's see, so what else happened? Really, it's not an exciting week. Like I said, we did the school, we just worked and did our own things. We worked in the garden. I'm always working in the garden. And I'm starting to think that maybe I should set up the camera more when I am doing things in the garden, because there's little things I do that I may not think about, you know, that might be interesting to some people. Even like I was trimming down a tomato plant, because when you plant your tomatoes and they start to grow, you know, the new plants, the leaves sometimes will touch the soil. Well, you don't want the bottom leaves to touch the soil. It could harm the plant. It could cause bugs to crawl on it easier because the leaves are touching the soil and stuff. And yet, what do I do without even thinking about it? I snap off the leaves from the bottom of the tomato plant, and then I snap off the new shoots, those side shoots, and I don't throw them away. Look at this. This is in Gary's garden. See what she's doing? She's eating the thistle. I haven't even walked inside Gary's garden, but she's right in front of me. Literally, I would say 6 feet from me. It's a little female goldfinch, and she's chewing on the thistle. She probably has babies. What I need to get a shot of, and I haven't gotten good footage of, is the hummingbirds. They collect the fuzzy part of the thistle, and they must be lining their nests with it. Oh, I have another hummingbird nest I'll have to show you too. Probably the same one that builds on my window, because she first built on the window, of course, for 2 or 3 years. Then she built it on the other side of the house, and now she built it on the house in another spot. Okay, she's still on there. I'm going to back up. You're probably tired of seeing her. Actually, she's going further into Gary's garden now. So anyways, as I was saying, I hope, because I forgot, on the tomatoes, when I snap off the bottom part, where the leaves are, there's the new shoots, the side shoots. I talk about those. See, here's the thistle. And see how fuzzy it is? Well, those are seeds. Of course, now I'm going to let them go, and they're going to fly everywhere, and Gary's going to have it growing everywhere. We actually use this in our green drink. This is edible. But the fuzzy part, the hummingbirds line their nests. That's what makes it fuzzy. So when I take the side shoots off the tomato, and they're literally side shoots, these are not leaves, I plant those, and they grow. Now you have nothing to lose. Let's walk into Gary's garden. He's not home right now. He had to run some errands. He said to get some stuff at the hardware store, and that's where he's at. So when I do that, I snap them off. He doesn't have any tomatoes in here, so I can't show you here. I have to show you another footage. And I just stick them in the ground. I just stick them in the soil wherever I'm working. If they take, you can move them. Look how beautiful the strawberries are. Look, he's got strawberries. And he lined them with plastic so the strawberries aren't touching the soil. It keeps the strawberries better in case there's little insects, roly-polies. They'll chew on it. It just keeps them better. It's like the commercial growers do. Looks like he just put some plastic. But when you take your side shoots or anything you want to start and you just stick it in the soil, let's say I wanted to stick a tomato here and just see if it grew, a cutting. As soon as it takes, tomatoes are so forgiving that you could just pull it out of the ground and stick it anywhere you want or leave it there. So that's what I do with the side shoots of the tomatoes. Now, I haven't tried the pepinos yet. Well, there's where all the tripods are when I'm looking for a tripod. Pepinos are supposed to really grow really good too from cutting, so I should try that. See how nice the baskets are? Let's go look here, what he's done. He's taken the wire baskets, the lizard. He's taken the wire baskets and he's attached shade cloth to it. And you could do that, where you are. Those wire baskets, you get them from all the dollar stores. Don't go to a regular store, like a regular stationery store, because they sell ones that are similar, and they sell them for $5 and $6 and $8. You can get them for $1. But here, he covered with shade cloth, and now that little hibiscus plant he's got going, I think it's red roselle. There's another one there. These are coming up from seed. See, he left the paper cups like I do. That was so tiny before. Look how big it's getting. The paper cup bottom, and that's the one I did with the single cup, is torn out. And so the roots are going to go straight into the ground. But when he waters it, he waters are in the paper cup. He could water the whole thing. But when it goes in that paper cup, that plant is getting watered. And plus, they need a little bit of shade, so he put the shade cloth there. So that works out really good. And it's protected. So it's protected from, let's say, birds, because a bird might come by, or a rabbit. If he gets, especially a squirrel, he can get squirrels in here all the time. And when they come by, they chomp on things. So they'll just take a chomp and go, I don't like it. But in the meantime, they chomped it in half, and it's gone. So what are you going to do? So now I know where my tripods are, or his tripods, or where, if I need a tripod. Actually, we have so many. We pick them up at the thrift store. And I did tell him he can leave some in his garden permanently, encouraging him to get his videos together. He's got so much footage, but he doesn't do it all. I was here a week ago, and that was a teeny little plant, and it's big. I should take that one, because he's going to end up trampling it out and just transplant it onto my deck. That would be good. Swiss chard are really easy to move. You may pull it out of the ground and then transplant it. It looks like it died, it drooped over, but you know what? It comes back. Okay, I don't know if he's planning on eating those artichokes, but he's going to have to pick those because when they open, they're not going to be good to eat. Here's the problem. It's his first artichokes that are successful. They look good, they're insect-free, and he probably doesn't have the heart to pick it. It's like they look so nice. He wants to come down here, sit, and look at them. But maybe he's trying to get two. We can split it. I'll have to talk to him, but I think it's about time that middle one gets picked and boiled and eaten. I love artichokes. I always have, even as a kid, eat the leaves, scrape your teeth against those cooked leaves and then eat the heart of the plant. It's so good. His pepinos have done great down here. We've talked about this many times. And I do have to try cuttings. I'm not sure how you would do that here. But you're supposed to be able to just do cuttings and root them. We have not done that, but I definitely, with this plant doing so well, look at this. It's going way out there. It's going all the way around, all down here, all through here, going up the wire. This is a plant you'd want a cutting from. Now, he has noticed that all these pepinos that he's been picking and eating, which taste so good, have no seeds. So it's either not getting fertilized by an insect it needs. Who knows? I really don't know. I don't know. Either it's not getting fertilized properly. He says he's been shaking them like you do, but they grow without seeds. The center has been hollow, or you need a male plant. I'm not exactly sure what the reason is. This one is not growing seeds. But the original fruit came from the grocery store. I walked in there one day and I found it. We bought 2, and when we cut it open, there was a few seeds inside. We planted it, and that's the original plant. It's probably quite a few years old right now, at least 2 years old. So I think I will do some cuttings, because regardless, if I can't get the seeds, and if I still want to eat this plant, until I figure out, I'll have to figure out exactly what type, where the cuttings are. So I'll have to see how to do it and just try it. I would imagine, see, they have side shoots. Get a good side shoot. That's what you do with tomatoes, and root it. I will do that. I will come back and do some cuttings, because the whole thing is side shoots. So you just have to find a really good side shoot. But I don't want to take anything that's got flowers right now. Here's another one. This one's growing like a vine. Well, I guess like a tomato. It's just growing up. Let's try to step around here. So that's it. This is basically a garden walk. Let's see what else. I don't even know what we did. It's like Gary sometimes says, what did we do yesterday? I don't know. It seems like all we do is work. I did my regular stuff online. I just did regular stuff then. I'm trying to see what he's got going in here. He's got, his fish are doing really good. See, no mosquito larvae. They really keep the tank beautiful. See how this one now is settled in? It does take time when you set up a pond. It goes through all kinds of things until the whole environment is set up correctly, and you've got all the proper bacteria and everything you need in there. You know, whatever it takes for the pond is now set up, and it's crystal clear. Look at that. You can see the fish. I'm confused. He's got kale. Oh, you know what he does? He feeds his fish. If he finds some kale that's got, maybe that's what it is. Of course, that's going to root and take off. If he finds some kale with, let's say, a lot of aphids on it or whitefly, he actually drops it in there, and the fish go wild. They get into the leaves and they eat it all off. He loves doing that. He said it's so much fun to watch. And, of course, all the sweet potatoes and his bananas. I've got to do a throwback on the bananas. Some more throwbacks, because this is amazing. This banana plant's like, what, 2 years old. Look at the size of the leaves. And the orioles have babies in there. And he's been getting footage, he said, on that. He set up his camera. That's why the tripods, I think, are down here. He set it up and left it. And he said he's got like hours of footage to go through to see the right footage of what he's got. And then, of course, his ubes are starting to grow. This is last year's growth. And he's going to throw all that, well, probably compost all that. Just pull it all down and then compost it. That's the problem. If we were just gardening, we'd be able to get a whole lot done. But we've got so many other things we have to do, other projects. So I just would love to work in the garden all day. It is so relaxing. If you're ever in a upset mood or a bad mood, just go in the garden. It doesn't matter if it's container gardening or a big garden or a little garden. It really changes your outlook on life. It's like you just feel so good to be in there with nature. And it's just so beautiful. Oh boy. He took the box down. Where's he planning on putting? Look at this. He's working on his box. Okay, this is a bat box I think he built. I think they have to go underneath. He's probably going to convert it to see if he can get some more bees. I don't know. But he had the box up on top. And now I see the box has been removed. But that's it. This is terrible. I was going to talk about what we did for the weekend. I really don't know. It's just get up in the morning, do everything we have to do, get our work done, and then work in the garden. I love working in the garden. I just can't wait till the weather is warm. I'm a little nervous that since we haven't had I'm going to say we haven't had our proper spring. I'm afraid it's going to go from this cold, damp weather to hot weather. And if it does that, if we go straight from this cold, damp weather that's creating mold, I don't see any mold down here. But if it goes from that to that, then we will have a really bad season as far as planting new plants. Because the new plants should be growing in the spring, and yet a lot of them seem to not want to grow. Now he's got a different type of, what would you call, microclimate down here. But see, he's got sun and shade all day, even in the summer. So it's a little bit cooler down here, where mine is up on top, basically on top of the hill, and it's going to get the sun all day, just all day sun. There's no way around it. That's what it gets. But his gets when you have this pergola type thing. See how it is? He didn't build it. This was here. You will get sunshade, sunshade. See the shade on the bottom? That's really good. If you're in a hot area, if you can get something like that together, it will create this sunshade. See, even the pond has got some in sun, some in shade, and that will move as the sun moves. So if the plants are getting too hot, they're going to get a little bit of shade and then a little bit of sun. Mine are in direct sun, and so I've got to make sure that they're watered well in the summer, very well in the morning, because you can't water them when it's really hot. If I go outside and water them and it's going to be 100 degrees, that's not going to work, because you'll end up burning your leaves. So you've got to water them early in the morning, and then water them if you have to again late at night. And that's when it's super, super hot. I know so many people have gone out, and I know you've got that temptation when it's hot to go out there and water your plants because it's hot and the plants look droopy. But the problem is if you hit them with water and then the sun really beats on them and it becomes 100 degrees, 105 degrees, you literally are cooking them as if you put the leaves in a pot, boil them, and then when the weather cools down at night, and same thing with the pot, you've got this cooked leaves and they're not coming back. That's why you don't touch the leaves at all. Just remember that when the weather changes. Do not touch the leaves. Water from underneath, under the plant, if you have to during the day, but don't get the leaves wet, because the moment you get the leaves wet, you've basically cooked the plant. Well, that's it. Nothing else new. I can't think of anything. I'll drop in some inserts here. Hopefully you saw stuff, with how the deck is going and what's going on. It's so quiet. I think I just wanted to take a walk because all I hear is birds and a plane. No leaf blowers, no street racers, no nothing. It's just quiet. The occasional dog barking, which is mine. Probably Gary's home. And I see birds flying above my head back and forth. Look how beautiful this jungle is he's created. At least he's going to lead this. When he's cleaning up, he's putting in another pond here, he said. And because he really likes his ponds. Now, what's the benefit of the ponds? You won't get snails. You won't get slugs. They can't go across the pond. Of course, they will if he leaves that plant growing like that. No, they can't go across. They can only go to that plant if it touches the ground. But he said it really prevents a lot of insects from getting in there, such as snails and slugs. And from there, it just works really, really well. He's got catnip. I think that's a type of mint catnip. So he's got that growing in there now. But that's why he likes the ponds. It's kind of an experiment. He wants to see if if it's worth it and how it's going to work out. Just that's all you hear is the planes. It's so beautiful when it's quiet. Sometimes you get up, it's like, you hear trains from the city down below because it echoes through the way the atmosphere is, and you hear ambulances and sirens of all kinds and street racers and kids screaming or people screaming, just playing around, goofy. Just the way the atmosphere, you can hear a lot of things, and dogs barking, and like I said, leaf blowers, the gardeners cutting, trimmers, tree trimmers, and now it's just so quiet. This is the thistle we looked at with the bird in it. See, I'm sitting down next to it. We actually do use that for our green drinks. This is actually edible. Now, the leaves are small. See how small the leaves are? The reason they're small right now, they would be massive, is it's gone to seed. It's putting all its energy, your vegetable plants, they all do the same thing. It's putting all its energy into growing seeds and feeding the seeds. And that's why leaves will get smaller. And once it's done seeding, the leaves will get massive and big again. The only thing that won't do that is lettuce. But you don't worry about your Swiss chard. See the Swiss chard there? He could trim that back or do whatever he wants once all the seeds are done, and the plant will continue to grow and the leaves will get big, and it'll send out all kinds of beautiful side shoots with greenery growing and everything. Most of your plants, the green ones like that, you can even do it with cabbage somewhat. Eventually the cabbage will go, but it will do the same thing. But really your Swiss chard, all your kale, don't worry if it goes to seed. If you don't want the seeds, you can chop it off. The only problem is if it's in the seed season and it wants to go to seed, it will try to send seeds out again, but the leaves will get bigger. So he left it, and the seeds will be this for the birds. The birds will come in and eat the seeds. He can collect some if he wants. And I think I saw a bird just go in there. But the birds will eat the seeds, green and brown. And then the flowers, of course, I leave all my collards and Swiss chard and what else is growing? The kales. I leave the seeds to grow because the birds come in, and the hummingbirds, and they all feed on the flowers. And then the flowers, of course, turn into seeds. You know what? I'm going to move so they're trying to come in here, the goldfinches. They want this plant. But I leave the seeds because it goes all back to nature. And then if I don't want them, I compost them. And whatever's left gets thrown in my compost. You know, somebody asked me, do I put weeds in my compost? Normal weeds like this, if I was going to pull this out, I don't worry about this. This is kind of a grassy, see, it has little seed heads. I don't worry about stuff like that. But no Bermuda and no mint. Because if you throw mint in a container or your compost, and we do not do hot compost, only the live cold compost, that could grow. So if you don't want the mint to grow, don't use mint. But as far as weeds, most of the weeds I use, most of them. Bermuda's the only one I don't, because we have gotten that in with, I think Gary got some manure once from somebody that was feeding a donkey, and they were eating a lot of Bermuda grass, and the seeds went through, and then it grew all over, and that was really hard to get out. And that is like a runner plant. So you don't want something that's sending out runners. Any type of weed or plant that sends out runners, those are the hardest ones to get rid of. So if it's a runner, like these grow in clumps, you can throw that on the bottom of your container gardening and just don't worry about it. But if it's a runner, they'll send out new growth from the roots, and that's why you don't want to use that. So I don't use that. You can if you put it on the very bottom and it's totally smothered. But you know what? Just because I have to pay for trash pickup anyways, I will throw the Bermuda grass out. Just don't want to deal with that. As far as mint, I have let it dried out and I have composted it. If it's wild mint, like see Gary's got a bunch of wild mint. He took it from me. That's all wild mint on the ground. Technically, it should be yanked and thrown out. You can use wild mint, you can eat wild mint, but the problem with wild mint, it doesn't taste anywhere as good as the chocolate mint, spearmint, or even the orange mint is okay. I like that. But chocolate mint, spearmint, peppermint, that's all the best for making tea. And I use the orange mint for like in a dish such as, let's say I'm going to make scrambled eggs or something. And my green drinks, I'll put orange mint in. I don't put chocolate mint in my green drinks. Just, I don't know, it just tastes more like orange. It tastes better in there. So I think I've talked enough. See, they're back. Let's look. Oh, they're coming in more and more. They're on both sides. I just love nature. I think it's so beautiful. Look at this. Now that's a male goldfinch. That's a loud plane. That's a male goldfinch. And before you saw a female goldfinch, but she is on the other side actually, so it's probably a pair. This is what they work all day, this plant. Let me see. No, I'm kind of trapped. I can't move anywhere. See if I can move up and lean. Nope. Too close. I think I spooked them. They're on the other side now. This is why we leave certain weeds. We know that certain weeds are detrimental to keep these little birds alive, and they really need help from us. Because it's not like it was years ago where everything left wild. There was no weed abatement. You could just grow things wild and the birds had all the food that they wanted. Now with weed abatement and hillsides being cleared and cement jungles coming in, there's not as much food for the birds and the butterflies. So when you grow things that they can eat, it really does help them. And it helps us because when you think about it, if you love nature, you get to watch them come in. You get to see them eat. You get to see them come back with their babies and teach their babies to eat and drink. You get to see the goldfinches come back when the beautiful zucchini have big leaves. Ooh, look, zucchini leaves taste good. Kale leaves taste good. It's fun. It is really fun. So with that, I think I've talked enough. This talked to nothing, so people are going to be upset I didn't talk about much. So with that, have a great day. I just wanted to take a walk and take you with me. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody.